Tabuite. Good journey, everyone, and welcome to Space Oats Live broadcast, a Crucial Crew podcast every Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am the Crucial Crew member, Jay, and we're going to talk about some Star Wars tonight. I hope everybody's doing quite well. I hope everybody's had a great weekend. I know I did. It's been a lot of fun. Pete, we got Ben joining in, my cabin mate, coming up on my first Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser cruise in July, end of July actually, so really looking forward to that. Hope you're doing well. Hope Amy's doing well. So let's get started. So we're going to go ahead and start off with today in Star Wars history. A little bit of Return of the Jedi trivia, kind of. I don't know if you saw the screen that I had. I'm going to go ahead and throw that back up here just so that you can kind of see. Maybe you remember this. I don't know. Way back in 1983. I don't remember it because, I was just a young wee lad of 4 and I didn't read People magazine back then. So, but on June the 6th, 1983, Jabba the Hutt and Hutt Slayer Leia appeared on the cover of People magazine. It also featured a story on Carrie Fisher. So pretty awesome in that article. I never read that article, obviously. I couldn't find it anywhere. I was actually looking because sometimes you can find old articles online, and I could not find that anywhere. So pretty at some point, or read that. But yeah, I couldn't find it anywhere. So because of that, hence is why I'm wearing my retro 1983 Jabba's Palace Return of the Jedi 40th anniversary tee from London Celebration this year. So this is actually the first time I've worn this t-shirt. I broke this out today, so I was like, you know what? I'm in the mood for this one. I haven't worn this yet, so I went ahead and threw this on. So that was pretty cool. But interesting little article back then from People magazine. So it's a famous cover. I've seen the cover before, but obviously I've never actually gotten my hands on a physical copy of the issue. I know that there's some floating around there on the interwebs that you can probably pick up if you're someone who likes to collect that sort of thing. If not, I don't know. Maybe you can send me a link if you find the article somewhere. I'd really like to read it. I like to read those old articles from magazines from way back when, because it gets you a different perspective on things, especially now in the future when you see everything come to fruition and you kind of look back at those times. You get a different perspective on the interviews and what the actors said about their roles at the time. So you can kind of read into it a little bit different meaning from when maybe you remembered reading it the first time. Of course, I didn't. So, but yeah, that is today in Star Wars history. So this week, mainly, I'm going to focus on Star Wars Visions, Volume 2. I'm actually going to touch on 3 episodes. So, because I really couldn't think about too much to talk about this week. There's really not much going on in Star Wars news, honestly. But I just really didn't. Nothing was striking me as coming forward. I did. I'm already starting to kind of think about what I'm going to wear on Star Cruiser. Just as a little side point, I ordered some sunglasses, and some of them look pretty cool, and I think I might sport one of them, one pair of those as my character, possibly even 2 of them. I don't know. We're gonna see. But I got a couple some sunglasses today, so maybe I'll be wearing those as part of my outfit. So Patrick, how you doing? Oh, I don't know what "ooh" means, but there we go. So so Visions season 2. We're just going to touch on a few of the episodes. If you haven't watched yet, don't worry, no spoilers. I'm not going to give you the endings of any of these. maybe, I don't know. It just all depends on if you say you've watched it or not. If you've joined in and you haven't watched them, just say no spoilers, and I'll try to keep it as spoiler free as much as possible as far as like the ending goes. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and start off with episode what am I up to now? Spy Dancer was episode 5, I believe. Yeah, Spy Dancer. Oh, for the sunglasses, yeah. Yeah, so I'll be showing those off when I get them. So one of them is Star Wars, because I did get them from Diff. So they're fancy. They're fancy, but just one pair is Star Wars. But I think I can still sport them, and people kind of not really know that it's because I like their glasses because they're subtle Star Wars. So you can kind of like match them with an outfit. So one pair, the Star Wars pair, I might actually wear. Don't know, but I did get a Guardians of the Galaxy pair. Then they look really futuristic, so I might actually sport those with my cosplay on Star Cruiser. And then I got a third pair of just a regular one because they were for free. So I figured I'd get, it was buy two get one free. But the free ones you couldn't get anything. So is the one I want to have a follow up on Spy. It was so moving. Also, follow that theme of the Empire taking kids. Yes. Okay. So let's get into that. Talking about Spy Dancer for a little bit. Spy Dancer, to me, like the setup of it. I don't know. See, I'm a big fan of films. Well, let's just put this out there. I'm a big Baz Luhrmann fan. And I loved Moulin Rouge. So, and it had that Moulin Rouge vibe to it, especially in the beginning. Especially with the way that she is the stage setup of that theater and everything. It just, I don't know. It just had that future Moulin Rouge-esque vibe to it. So, the costumes, everything. The way it just flowed when she was falling from the centerpiece of the theater, and that just caught my attention big time. So I love that part of it. I love the fact that this is a place where it's kind of like almost like a denizen for the Empire to basically be able to just chill and relax, because you always wonder, is there that place that they can go and just like break away and just not think about their duty and kind of almost do stuff that you shouldn't be doing on the clock, I guess. It's funny because they're still in armor. They're basically just taking off their helmets. It's not like they're full out of gear at this point in time. So you wonder, is this on the clock? Is this off the clock? I don't know. It kind of got me thinking about that, but it's kind of funny the way it's like set up like that. Very early on in the episode, they take the buckets off. Very on in the early episode, we get this flashback, which basically after the mom, I think her character was Loie. I think Loie. It's hard, these French names, because this is a French, I believe it's French, animation studio, and I am never understood French whatsoever as a language, so I don't understand the accent, and I always get it wrong. So, but Loie, her flashback, really dark. Again, as Patrick had mentioned, that theming of the Empire taking kids. And basically she's recognizing that this is her son. She just thinks it's some Imperial officer, and she's gonna basically the one that took her son is what she's thinking. But then she comes to realize that he's a lot younger, and he's kind of almost mimicking the characteristics of the person that took her son. So it's kind of like he became a father figure to her son in a way, which almost kind of you wonder is if it really was his father, because it never really says it wasn't. So like maybe he knew that he had a son. He joined the Empire, knew that his wife, basically was not going to be sympathetic to the Empire's cause, and maybe she was trying to hide from him, and maybe he came and took his son from her. So you wonder if that's the case, if it actually really was his father, like for sure. You didn't get the impression that it was his father. Okay. Yeah, you know what? I actually didn't really think about that until recently, and I haven't watched it since I thought that. So I think the next time I watch it, I'm going to kind of look at it from that perspective to see if there is any way that that could have been, like if there's something that he did say or didn't say. Yeah, exactly. So, and that's another reason why, because obviously the Empire doesn't accept non-humans, and you wonder if, that's why he basically had to get rid of the horns, so that nobody would know, and nobody would take him away. The Empire wouldn't take him away from him. So that there's a couple of reasons why I just like actually felt like it maybe was his father for real, or maybe somebody that, somebody in the family, maybe, who knows? But anyway, yeah, they were like ground down at the end. Yeah, they were like scarred. It was hard because I didn't actually notice that at first. The first time I watched it, I didn't notice that. And then somebody told me that, and I rewatched when I watched it the second time, I looked at it, and it really just looks like these circular shadows there, right under his hairline that basically show that, they're not bulging out anymore. They're flat, but you can still see the shadow, like the scar of where they were at that point in time. But yeah, the flashback is very dark. It's got that reddish color to it, really to get that emotional, tense moment, especially with the Empire. We also get a cool, kind of like Hellboy. Yeah, I get that. I mean, I'm just thinking Dark Side Mustafar vibes, basically, is what I was thinking when I saw it. So, and then also, by the way, in honor of that, I'm drinking red wine. But I'm going a little dark side with what I'm drinking tonight. We got a cool KX droid in this one as well. So a little bit a nod to those awesome droids. We love those droids. At least I do anyway. I'm a big K2SO fan. So, we get a cool KX droid that really shines. Basically, the other character, Hatis, basically they have a moment going back and forth with that. You really get to see that cool little side battle going on there. That side fight, which is pretty awesome. And then we go up onto the rooftop, which basically, when kind of everything gets thrown down at the end, that moment with Luai and the officer, her son, basically coming to terms with like who he still doesn't get who she thinks he is. Until that point in time, and then that embracing, I think, is the moment where he really starts to think, is this a different life I could have had? So, which is pretty amazing. But yeah, so it's a really awesome moment, a weighted moment there, on top of that theater, and then you start to see the Empire basically coming in to basically wipe everything out, which we've had that theming in some of the other episodes before, where you see the Empire coming in and basically just destroying everything. It's even shown in the flashback after they basically the officer comes and takes the son. You see that moment of the Empire basically coming in and raising everything to the ground. That is basically portrayed in so many episodes, and even talked about in so many episodes of season 2, where the Empire is basically just running around destroying settlements, which is carried through with a lot of these themes with these episodes. And it's done again, basically once they find out that there's some sort of rebel ties or something, or Jedi tie, they basically just go in and they just wipe everything out, which is a really dark theme that continues to go forward in this season of Visions. Not so much just with the Dark Jedi, but with the Empire being a big part of this season, and what they do to people and civilizations. And then you get to the very end of the episode, which again, you have that moment as Patrick, I think it was Patrick, that Ben was basically talking about, with basically taking off his hat, and they look ground down. So he actually pulls up that little hollow thing that basically shows the child, him as a child, with the horns, and then of course there's the moment that there's the possibility that there still could be that connection between mother and son, with that little tracker at the very end. That's there. So, I mean, my overall, as far as Spy Dancer it is probably my favorite episode, because it does leave you with that cliffhanger. More so, I mean, a lot of them did this year, but more so than any, I wanted to know the next part of that story. I really did. Makes you wonder if he never remembers having the horns, and now he realizes the scars are where they used to be. Yeah, I mean, they probably were removed at a very young age, again, to hide the fact from the Empire that he was not human. And the two eye colors, that's why he wears the patch, right? You know what? I didn't even put that together, but yes, the characters did have the two eye colors, and that would have been why he was wearing the patch. Because, again, that would have shown that he was some sort of other race that possibly could have tied to the horns, and people could have put two and two together. And again, Empire doesn't like that, with few exceptions, with like Thrawn and so forth. And but yeah, it may have been a lot harder for him to be accepted in the Empire with all those characteristics. So, but I thought the studio did a great job. I love the animation. I love the kind of like the quirkiness of the stormtroopers look. They were very cartoonish in this one, but I enjoyed it so much. I loved the storyline from beginning to end. It's just, to me, it's just very captivating. I've watched it probably like 4 times now, and every time from start to finish, I'm engaged. So again, this is definitely my favorite episode of season 2, I would say. I really, really enjoyed this one. Because you're seeing a little bit of kind of like even like a James Bondish kind of thing going on there, with this, with the idea of them, and just kind of getting trackers out there on all these people, just to kind of know where the Empire is, tracing like where they're going, because who knows how far people are coming to this planet. But if they're getting trackers on all these different units that are taking them across the galaxy, it's a way to find out where the Empire has all these bases. So it was a pretty neat way to kind of see how the rebels could be infiltrating the Empire. French World War II resistance. Okay, yeah, I see that. That's really, really cool. Interesting that you mentioned that it's D-Day today, but it's a pretty good connection there, Patrick. I don't know if you knew that or not, but yeah, I'm sure you did. But yeah, I loved it. That definitely my favorite episode. I don't know if it's your favorite episode, but it's my favorite episode. Going to the next episode that after that one, the Bandits of Golak. So this one, I watched this one this week, or actually I watched it yesterday. It was only my second time watching it. The first time I watched it, I don't know, kind of disinterested the first time, but yesterday, I don't know what it is, but like sometimes I watch these, and for the second time around, I'm like really enjoying these. So I definitely enjoyed it a lot more than the first time. So Spy Dancer, definitely one of the top for me. I'm Grandfather was D-Day. Oh, all right. So, but yeah, the Bandits of Golak. Indian, I think. I think this was from animation studio in India, I believe. 88 Pictures. You can tell it had a lot of Indian type themes to it. The way the characters, the train, I mean, goodness, just from the very beginning, the whole train scene was really awesome. You get really quickly see a lot of Indian culture in this, in every frame of it. Yeah, like I said, yeah, exactly. Traditional Indian story, like from the very beginning. There's a lot of ties to that. The costumes were very Indian culture inspired. The music, love the music. The music is some of my favorite music, actually, of any of the Visions episodes, I believe. Especially after watching it the second time, I was focusing on a lot of the music, and I would say it's probably my favorite music of any episode this series. So if I was just going to take the music all around, I would take that. Even the Sith was a traditional Indian demon. Yeah, definitely. The Sith was really along those lines. Definitely. But it was really cool to see Indian culture kind of taken into like, again, this is why I think this season is by far the better season of the two, because you get to see all these cultures, these different cultures, give their take on Star Wars, and really show how Star Wars inspired them in their culture. And then now we're going to possibly see in the future maybe live action or canon Star Wars get inspired by these episodes that we're seeing in Visions, which super excited about, because some of these characters you want to see live action versions of now. The two characters, brother and sister, Charuk and Rainey, I believe, are how you pronounce their names. In the beginning, you come to realize very quickly that Rainey is force sensitive, because she pulls that flute out of her brother's bag as he walks away, when he tells her that she can't be playing the flute because they don't want to draw attention to them. And she uses the force to basically draw that out of her brother's pocket, which basically ends up getting them into trouble because people notice, and it is during the times of the Empire, and people report this to the troopers because they're trying to look out for their own interests. So they have to basically try to evade the stormtroopers while they're on this high-speed train. Evokes a lot of memories of many films where you have scenes like that with trains and chase scenes on locomotives and so forth. So all of that. So they end up getting away, and they get to this they kind of hide in this town. But again, their kind of cover is a little bit blown because of her force sensitivities. And then the Inquisitor arrives. And we get to see this Inquisitor. So and different type of Inquisitor, not kind of one that we're used to. Looks a lot different than some of the Inquisitors that we've seen in Rebels and in Obi-Wan. But again, the Inquisitors all look different. So then we get this really cool duel of the person in that village. I did not see Bullet Train. Nope, did not see Bullet Train. Heard it was pretty good though. Then we get this really cool lightsaber duel. Probably one of the best lightsaber duels, I think, in all of Vision Season 2. Maybe Sith right up. Actually, I think I like Sith most as far as lightsaber duels, but this is probably my second favorite. Journey to Darkhead, wasn't too crazy about that lightsaber duel, but this was my second favorite lightsaber duel. It was a really good lightsaber duel between that character in the village there that also they come to find out is force sensitive, or is a force being, basically her walking stick. Really cool. I almost couldn't really tell how it like broke in half and like became two lightsabers, but it was a good fight, and basically how she won was quick and amazing, but it was kind of almost like that last slash from Obi-Wan to Maul. Really quick, but the death part of it was just very slow. You know how Maul just like fell over the side and then just kind of came apart. Kind of similar to that. It was, to the neck, but he kind of just stood there for a while before he fell over. So I love that. It was a really good lightsaber duel. Again, my second favorite of this entire season, definitely. So, and then we have that kind of like same thing as Screecher Reach, but like just the opposite. So Screecher's Reach ended with the character leaving for the Sith, and this one at the end, Rainey basically having to leave her brother, but for a Jedi path, going into hiding and possibly being the future of the Jedi and bringing hope to the future. So again, a little bit of a twist there. And it's amazing how these studios, I don't think they knew anything about what anybody else's stories were, but it's cool to see these parallels in the story, but with a different perspective or a different twist to it at the end, which is really amazing to be able to see that. You could almost watch those two back to back and see a good parallel to those, especially for the ending. So really bittersweet goodbye there, as Rainey is kind of taken into this underground hiding place for the Jedi. And then she basically lets go of that flute in the end, and gives it back to her brother. So yeah, Bandits of Golak, really awesome. Again, I don't know where I'm going to put that one on my list, but again, I've only watched it twice, but I'm going to say it's in my top 5. It's going to be in my top 5. So, but not too far. I mean, I'm still going to say Spy Dancer, Screecher's Reach, Sith are my top 3. But I might say that it's probably my 4. It's probably my 4. It's probably right up there, just not making the cut almost. But then again, there's the final episode that I watched this week, and I really wasn't going to talk about it, but again, I threw in another episode because I really didn't know what else Star Wars to talk about this week. So I ended up watching The Pit again. And I could say that this could be my top 4, and Bandits of Golak could be my 5, or Bandits of Golak 5, and this, or 4, and this could be my 5. because the pit was really, really good. Um, it it was kind of had a lot of deep tones to it, with the slavery, um, theming to it, with how the empire basically imprisoned people to do their bidding and then basically left them for dead, uh, similar to Andor with Narkina 5, and taking them to a facility with possibly the promise of being able to get out when they were done, but their sentence, but that was never going to happen. Similar to that, there was probably this promise, that these people, these individuals, were going to work off a debt and be free, but then they were just left in this pit. So the parallels to that were definitely striking. We did have a pretty interesting cameo in this one. If you didn't know, the voice of Crux was Daveed Diggs. So so that was pretty awesome to basically have his voice within this one. There was an actual tie to Lucasfilm to this one, as we had it being written and co-directed by Leandre Thomas. So Leandre Thomas has done a lot for Lucasfilm. So so yeah, for him to be able to you can see a really good connection to the films in this one. And who knows, maybe Andor and Narkina 5 kind of inspired the story in a different way for him. Not really sure, but then also Justin Ridge was also from Lucasfilm Animation, and he was a co-director on this as well. So a lot of ties to big names in this one, which is why I believe it's a really good story as well. So, but yeah, really, really good episode. So, so basically, they're searching for kyber crystals, is what they're doing, and they have this slave labor group that basically, once they find the area where the kyber crystals are, they're just told to dig at this point. So, and the pit gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and I like how it kind of shows that from above, and you see that, and then also you see this city in the distance that's getting built, which you don't really know that that's going to have a tie to it until the end. But yeah, and at first they kind of have a way down, like a pathway, and then as you notice, when it gets towards the end, the pathway is gone. So I guess they were using like the ships to come in and out to get the kyber crystals and so forth, but the prisoners really didn't have a way out of there at any time to be there. But then once the kyber crystals are done, Empire packs up. The prisoners cheer because they think they're getting out, and then the Empire just leaves. So they're basically stuck in this pit, and there's no way to get out from what they feel. So they're kind of just stuck there at that point. But then Crux basically is determined to get out of there. So he says he's going to climb to the surface, and he's going to go to the city, because there's rumors that there's this city up there, and he's going to go plea for them to come and save them. And of course, a lot of people don't feel like nobody's going to listen to him because they're nobody. And he feels that that there's going to be light in someone to be able to come back and save them. And he just has to get there to be able to break through to this. So he starts climbing. He almost falls. And then there's these little creatures that kind of burrow around, and they kind of help him out, which is a pretty interesting little kind of connection to the living force in a way, even though he's not force sensitive. or at least we're never told that. But then he finally gets out. He goes out to the city. He makes his speech to the people. Nobody's listening to him at first when he gets there. And then he gets to an area where he stands in front of everyone. There's like a monument to the Kyber crystals, which is what they were mining. So he stands in front and he basically tells them that what this city was built on, these people are still down there. They're trapped and they need your help. Not sure if anybody's listening, but the stormtroopers actually hear this. They go, they grab him. They basically have to shut him up before anybody starts to, care about what he has to say. And they take him to the pit, and they basically just make it his grave, which is a really, really tough part of the episode. They just chuck him in. And of course, there's no way that he's going to survive that fall. And they don't really show it, but except for you see the side of him at the bottom of the pit. But yeah, so he's basically has been killed. But then the people, they come to the pit, and the stormtroopers try to scare them off, basically with threats of them being killed, but they don't back down. So the troopers basically retreat. The Empire retreats from the situation, and then the people from the city come and save them. So, and then the little girl who kind of like befriended Crux, Livy, she seems to have some sort of force sensitivity in this one as well. And again, this overall tie to characters discovering their force abilities, and you wonder about her, like, where is her path going to lead? She has this kyber crystal, and it basically raises up into the palm of her hand as she's leaving. And that moment, you just kind of you really do feel for her. Now, this one is one of the only episodes, I think it's the only episode that has had a end credit scene. I didn't notice any other ones, and I didn't even know the first time I watched this. But when I did watch it again, I knew that there was an end credit scene, so I made sure that I watched the end credit scene. Basically, kind of like a memorial to Crux. Probably, maybe where his burial site was in the pit, possibly. But there's this really cool picture, reflection of kind of what you see as far as the whole story, all in a painting. In that photo, I kind of have it here because I wanted to kind of remember it. It basically has the title in Arabesh, The Pit, and it has the troopers. Crux is in the center. Liv with the kyber crystal is right under him in the center. And then it has the other ones in the pit as well. That were there with them. So a really cool little like montage of painting, kind of reminding me of the Lothal or the rebels painting on the wall, mural of the wall on the wall. Which, kind of has that same tone to it. A lot of the same coloring and everything too. It really did look like that as well. But yeah, so again, these episodes are grabbing me more and more as I watch them. And I could put The Pit as my number 4. And Bandits of Golak is number 5 for me. And I'm almost swaying towards that way because there's no lightsabers in this one. And I love a good story without the Jedi and the Sith like being prominent. And this was just a great story. So I think I'm actually gonna throw that as my number 4. definitely. So I could probably even rearrange my whole top 5 depending on what I'm in the mood for. But for now, I only have one more episode left to basically go back and review and talk about, which is Owl's Song. And I can't wait to watch that one again because, again, that was one of the ones that really, I didn't think too much the first time, but I have a feeling that that's not going to be the same way if I do this again. So because it's been happening, I go and watch them again, and I feel a lot differently the second time I watch these episodes. I want to talk a little bit about what I want to do this month. I'm looking to get somebody to do a guest spot with me by the end of the month, and come on here and just basically talk side by side with me. So I'm reaching out to a few people. I'm going to basically throw this as we're going to talk about certain characters of Star Wars, kind of like what I've been doing every once in a while with my crucial character of the month. But we're just going to have more of a side by side discussion. So somebody to me to play off of live. So I'm going to be looking for someone to actually bring on as a guest spot. Try to have a guest spot on the crucial on the Space Oats broadcast by the end of the month. So next week I'm actually going to do a crucial character pick of the month. I'm going to start doing those twice a month now, and I think I'm going to pick one from Rogue One actually. So a crucial character pick of the month. So, but yeah, so we'll see what happens. This week, I was going to possibly go to the parks today, but I ended up not going to the parks today. We'll see if I get there sometime this week. I don't know for sure. I do kind of need to go to Galaxy's Edge and get something from there. So I'm going to have to make it there at some point, hopefully by the end of the week. So, but we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll go Friday, possibly, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. It'll have to be in the morning before work, so we'll see what happens to that. Yeah, so I think that's going to be it tonight. I think I'm going to call it a night. Do this pretty short. Thank you for joining in. For those of you that joined in, if you haven't watched Star Wars Visions yet, hopefully I didn't spoil it too much. I mean, I did kind of give the endings, but they're great watches, and yeah, they're just great to watch. I think the more and more you watch them, the better they are each and every time. So the takes on the Star Wars themes and the characters and I think they were developed very well. I think it was, again, my favorite season. This season, way more than the first season. So there was a couple episodes that I could have thrown away that wasn't really too big on, but for the most part, almost every episode I've been really into. So, but yeah, that's about it for tonight. I'm watching a little bit of Return of the Jedi now, so I'll probably finish that up before I call it a night. But again, Ben and Patrick, thank you for joining in. I know I had a couple others jump in and off, and whoever they were, thank you. If you're watching this a little bit later, or if you're listening to it a little bit later, thank you very much for listening in. Yeah, season 2 is definitely better. Again, a lot of agreement on that. A lot of people were saying the same thing. But if you're listening into this a little bit later, or if you're watching this, please subscribe. Please hit those notifications, share this with others. And if you're not a follower on my Instagram page, The Crucial Crew Member, I usually go live pretty much every day talking about my today in Star Wars. So, but yeah, for now, we're going to go ahead and call this a night. We're going to give another toast to the Halcyon, to Buite. Watch Star Wars, read Star Wars, listen to Star Wars, and may the stars light your way.